The rope around the tree is an exercise that is often found at adventure skills riding competitions. It's a terrific training exercise to really develop that use of the friction zone, because throughout the entirety of the ride, we don't have our right hand on the throttle. The goal of the exercise is to see which rider can complete as many rotations around the tree without the rope touching the ground or putting a foot down. Today, I'd like to share with you how I do it. When I ride the rope around the tree, I prefer to do it sitting down. That way I have the use of my thighs pressing against the bike. As the radius of the circle gets tighter and tighter, that rope gets shorter, we have to really counterbalance the bike because we're riding at a full lock. If I'm standing doing this, I only have the use to hold the bike from my knees to my ankle, squeezing, and I feel a little bit more unstable, which can lead to me over gripping the handlebar. So I feel I have more control over the bike if I'm sitting, kind of holding the bike firmly with my thighs as we get closer to the tree. Another great tip for when starting off is to start the bike with a full lock turn, so that as you go underway, the bike is already going in the right direction. If you start with the handlebar straight and start to drive away, the rope can pull you and put a foot down, and there's an immediate disqualification right away. So, let's see how it's done. Rope in the right hand, full lock on the handlebars, both feet on the foot pegs, and we slowly feed that clutch out. Keep tension on that rope right away. Pull it across your body so that the rope stays nice and tight. The first third of this exercise is really just about keeping that rope tight so it doesn't touch the ground. Once the rope starts to get a little bit shorter, it's easier not to have it touch the ground. Staring at the tree, so I have a focus point, and we're just going to feed that clutch in and out as we go around the tree. It's important to look at the surface you're riding on to see if there's any low spots and high spots. You want to let that clutch out on the high spot so you've got momentum to go up, and then kind of pull in that clutch when it starts to go a little bit too fast. Again, we don't want that rope to touch the ground, so be active with pulling the rope tight and bringing it across your body so that there's no slack in it and it doesn't touch the ground. So right now I've got the clutch about 25% let out, and now I have it pulled in all the way. I'm gonna let that clutch out, maybe 25% engaged again, and just riding at a nice comfortable pace. A slight uphill here, so I'm letting that clutch out a little bit more, and now I'm coming downhill just a little bit, so I pull the clutch in and the bike is rolling under its own momentum. I still have all the power cut off with the clutch, and now I'm going to feed that clutch out just a little bit, get up that slight incline, and then we're going to slow it down. Another great way to slow this bike down as this rope gets shorter and shorter is to add a little bit of rear brake. So I'm just touching that rear brake. See, we've got full control. The bike has come to a stop. I still have a little bit of rear brake engaged, and I'm going to let that clutch out, and we're going to start to go. Now, some riders will say, aren't you going to destroy your clutch feathering in and out? And my answer is, I think you should be more afraid of not knowing how to ride your bike at slow speed than worrying about the clutch. These clutches are strong. What really destroys the clutch is feathering it in and out like this when the bike is under high revs. Like when you're doing wheelies and you need to moderate the speed and the angle of that front tire, you're slipping that clutch or doing burnouts. So now the rope is getting a little bit shorter. This is where it gets a little bit harder to do. So I'm going to shift my left hip off the seat of the bike just a little bit to counterbalance it. The clutch is about 25% let out. Slowly let that clutch out. Slowly let that clutch out. And then there just comes to the point where that's the end of the ride. But you then have a higher likelihood of a foot dab. So be don't take out the cones.
So again, we're just going to engage the friction zone. Gotta be able to turn the bike on though. Alright, so let's start the bike up.